Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Simply Done Concierge. Folks, if you need 27 hours in a day, we can help you. I know you only get 24 by the math, but we can give you three more at least every day by doing chores for you, meal prep, dog sitting, unpacking, helping you pack, errand running, things like that. Folks at Simply Done Concierge are there to help you get more done in a day. Go to simplydoneconcierge.com. Let us know how we can help you, and I know we'll be able to get you more things done in a day. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International. And our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and the surrounding towns, 32 chapters meet each week. And our job is to help each other grow our business. And our local small business success story this week is Irene Brooks with No Place Like Home Senior Services. Irene is the mentor coordinator in 919 Networking in Clayton. They meet Thursday mornings at 8:30 at the U.S. Health Advisor's office on US 70 Business. Good morning, Irene. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Mike. I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. We're glad to have you here. I love what you do. Very excited when we saw each other a couple of weeks ago to be able to book you on the show. You so home health care is interesting. It's much needed because we're living longer, and a lot of people just kind of want to stay at home as they age, stay comfortable. So that's where you come in, and I just love that you're able to help people do that and makes their life a whole lot easier. I know you get great satisfaction out of doing that.
I do, Mike. Thanks for asking. So studies have shown that the majority of people want to stay at home as they age in place. It's something like 85% of people want to age at home. Um, and it's difficult when, as caregivers to children, which is mostly the caregiver duties go to, have jobs. They have children of their own that they have to take care of. And it makes it really hard. So not only emotionally hard, financially hard, and um, most people are not trained in caregiving, so you have to learn different things. So our service is here to help support family members in what they need to do with caring for their family members.
Yeah, it's an interesting role for my generation, with older parents. Now we're the parents, and they're kind of the kids in a kind of a goofy way, but I mean, everybody gets it. And you're right. We may still have kids at the house, maybe not, but still working, and needing help from somebody like you. So you help get people to my house to help with my older parents, right? That's one of the roles you guys serve.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's
So,
hard for us to find somebody. We don't know who to call.
right, right. And that's the majority of phone calls that I get are really people that are almost desperate. They're just at
Mhm.
their wits' end, and they say, "I don't even know what I need to do. Can you just help me? I know I need help, but I don't know what kind of help I need." And so I'm able to sit with them, talk to them about what may work best for their family and their situation, because there are no one size fit all situations. So it may be having me send one of my experienced staff members to the home, or it can be to help them find a wonderful, safe place for their loved one.
When I was doing some research for the show this weekend, just the more I read about what you did, I kept going back to Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz when she said, "There's no place like home," and there really isn't. And you must get all kinds of hugs and thank yous from people that you're able to help their parents stay at home.
Absolutely. It's really funny. So my background was in social services. So when you go to somebody's home and there's a problem with their child or something, they're not happy to see you. You're, you're not their favorite person. So now doing this and actually getting hugs, actually getting, a client to say, I love you is huge. I mean, it makes everything worth it. It makes those crazy hours absolutely worth it.
And you had an interesting transition into this business because that's not what you were doing a couple of years ago, was it?
No, no, not even close. I have a sales and marketing background. So I've I have a degree in social work, but I was in marketing and sales because I wanted to eat. And social workers
Yeah.
notoriously do not make a lot of money. So I did a lot of marketing and sales positions for very nice companies. And then I went into my social work degree, which is what I wanted to do for since I was a kid. And then my dad got sick. So I ended up having to quit that job to take care of my dad. Um, and I learned that there there really is no handbook for people to kind of navigate them through this process. It's scary, it's emotional, it can be expensive, and there's nobody there to hold your hand. So I decided that I would go ahead and do that.
It was interesting also while I was doing the research this weekend and thinking about because both my folks are gone. My dad, my mom had moved into a retirement community. She was healthy and everything. All of a sudden, cancer kicked in, and it happened fast. But our dad
Mhm,
was still at home, and his happened real fast as well. And I keep going back to the words he told my brother and sister and I when we were in the hospital with him. His he kept telling us, he goes, "Don't let me die here." And unfortunately, he couldn't go back home because the stuff had sped up, but, we got him to hospice, and that place was awesome. But it
mhm,
made me think as I was reading about what you do, he's like, "Don't let me die here." And, we
mhm,
did everything we could not to make that happen, but I get it now, having been
mhm.
through that and then, meeting folks like you and reading what you do that I'm sure you've heard that before as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And actually trying to help people grant their family members that wish
Yeah.
or whatever the wish is huge. A lot of times people will come to me and want to talk to me without their loved one in 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 the room. But I think that it's important to involve the loved one. They know what their situation is most of the time, and it's important to get their feedback because somebody may say, I don't want to pass in the house because I don't want the house to have that feel. Some people say,
Oh.
I don't want to pass anywhere but my home.
Mhm.
So we have to have those hard conversations. Those are not easy conversations at all. So I'm able to kind of go in there and help. You're not taking away the
Yeah.
emotion, but I create kind of a buffer between that hard
Yeah.
emotion and actually being able to execute.
Yeah, because it's a tough time for obviously for the parent who is ill, but it's a tough time for the kids too. Because now we're talking, "Hey, what ifs? Is this the best way? Is that the best way?" And, yeah, to have a calm head like you in those conversations is nice because we're not thinking of everything, and all of our thoughts are pure emotional.
Right.
Uh,
Absolutely.
the caseworker job, though, was rewarding, I'm sure, even though difficult as it was and low paying as it was, I bet those moments, those wins you had made it worthwhile, right?
Oh my gosh, absolutely, absolutely. There were times that you knew that you were making a huge difference in someone's life. Um, the situations that I dealt with sometimes were literally life and death. Sometimes it was the difference between somebody eating or not. So those are not little things that you're dealing with. It's a lot of pressure, and I used to be like, "Oh my gosh, I must be crazy doing this." But then when you had a situation where you made a difference in someone's day, when you're somebody's last kind of rope
Mm.
and you're able to help them, it's incredible. So I understand why people spend 30, 40, 50 years doing that.
Now you went to college, so you graduated from Hunter College.
I did.
Where did the social worker bug come from?
I always wanted to do that. So I grew up in East Harlem in the projects. And so having social workers around was not unusual. I know that's not like a normal thing that kids are exposed to, but you have situations where you have a friend that a social worker ended up going to their house and investigating or whatever. And my house was always the open house. If anybody needed to get a meal or be in a safe place, they could do that in my home.
Wow.
So it wasn't unusual to hear and see kind of hard situations to deal with. But I saw social workers as people that were able to kind of help. I never saw the social workers as the bad guy. So I said I wanted to do that, and my mom was like, You'll starve. Social workers make no money. It's a dangerous job." So I went into business instead, and then eventually found my way back to social work.
So you saw that from your mom and dad early on of just
Yes.
helping people. And why did they make your house the open house? What caused them to want to do that?
I don't know what it was, but I know my parents were always um just they were great with all kids. Like it wasn't like, oh, this is a good kid and this is a bad kid, or this is a kid that you should stay away from. They understood that people are complex and situations are complex. And sometimes you can't judge somebody by what's going on around them. So they just wanted to make sure that everyone was safe and that everyone ate. And if you ever meet my mom, you will know that you have to eat. That's
She tells you when you're done eating, right?
absolutely.
This is one of the reasons that I love this show because I know what my life has been like. But to talk with somebody who grew up in the projects, this could be a whole nother 5-hour conversation. I'm just fascinated by that life. Um, what did you guys do for recreation? Did you go outside and play? Was it, what did you do growing up there?
So I had a very robust childhood. My dad was a musician, so he traveled a lot, and we went with him wherever he went. So I got to deal with fancy things aside from kind of that life. But also, my parents made a decision to. They didn't have a lot of money, but the money that they did have, they made the decision to send us to incredible
Mm.
schools. So I participated in everything. I was a theater kid. I was in chorus. I was like, student government. It was I did a lot of things and had some really incredible opportunities. I was also in a gifted program where we went to school on Saturdays and during the summer. Um, but we learned how to um, take standardized tests so that we were able to get into private schools that would normally not be available for kids like us. And that opened up a whole new world for us because we that was where I visited Columbia University. We visited like all these incredible schools, and we're told you can actually go to one of these schools. You can do this. And when you're that age and you grow up kind of in a vacuum like the project, unless somebody tells you you can do this, you don't know that you can do it.
Were you with all the kids you grew up with, were you the exception rather than the rule because you traveled with your parents, they'd set aside money for, the good schools? Were you one of the few that had that opportunity?
So, because I grew up with a lot of kids that went to the same schools, I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine that still from elementary school, how that group kind of ended up doing really well because we were part of these programs and things like that. However, when you look at other people that didn't get those opportunities, I would say that, yeah, it's definitely an exception. I can go back to my old neighborhood right now and see some of the same people that were there um, 40 years ago, still there. It's still in the same situation. And it's sad because a lot of times it's not because somebody doesn't want to, it's just because they don't realize that they have choices. When you don't know you have choices, it's kind of like the elephant being held by the rope. If the elephant doesn't know that he can just, pull his leg up and get out of the rope, he's going to stay there.
What sights and sounds do you remember most from growing up in that neighborhood?
Hmm. Um, always music, always music. Um, but also the the sounds of the city, right? The horns, the flashing, ambulance and police cars and things like that. So much so that when I moved out of New York, I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep in like a month because it was so quiet. I was like, who does this? Who lives like this?
I had not thought of it that way. I get it though. Yeah, you because that would put you to sleep because it was white noise at the time. Like I hear this every day. Oh,
Yes,
too funny.
absolutely. Yeah.
How were and I hope I asked this correctly. We hear about different parts of New York City are ethnic based.
Mhm,
How was
mhm.
the food there growing up? Pretty good?
Oh my gosh, it's the best food in the world. Um, a lot of times when you meet people from New York, a lot of people think, why do they think that New York is the center of the world? Um,
Because you guys
because it
tell us
is. No,
that.
I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
you guys tell us that, so
Right. Well, the thing is, when you're in New York, especially when you're in the city, everything is there. So you have access to international foods. You have access to people from all over the world. So you can have a friend from, Ethiopia, and you can have a friend from, that's never left East Harlem. I mean, it's just incredible what you have at your fingertips. Um, so I think I was able to have that. I feel so lucky that I'm able to have that. Um, but I'm sorry, I lost my thought of what I
that's
was
okay.
answering. I'm
Did,
sorry.
did mom pass on some good cooking skills to you?
Oh my gosh. So I am not a great cook, but I cook on holidays, and I usually do very well. I'm lucky that my husband enjoys cooking. So I
Good.
cook to keep people alive. He cooks because he enjoys it.
I like that. So you went to Hunter College. I did a little, research on Hunter College, and
Mhm.
hopefully this show will elevate you to the status of distinguished alums from Hunter College. So here's some names. Excuse me. Rhea Perlman from Cheers went to Hunter College. Harry Connick Jr., the musician, went to Hunter College. Vin Diesel, the action, movie star. Esther Roll, who played Florida Evans on Good Times, went to Hunter College. And there were more names. I just couldn't get them all in, but impressive list of distinguished alums there. I
Yeah,
like that. So,
yeah. It's definitely a good school.
oh yeah,
Definitely.
oh yeah. So I stumbled upon oh, by the way, real quick, what kind of music did your dad play?
Salsa music, so Latin jazz.
Oh, so that makes you a good dancer too, right?
I can so I dance well to Spanish music.
Huh?
When it changes to English music, I have two left feet. I don't understand. It must be the DNA.
Your hips feel that salsa that's beat, doesn't it? Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's see, you are an accomplished singer, a very good salsa dancer, and you can cook. James did pretty well, didn't he?
Yeah, I think we both got pretty lucky there.
All right, so looking at some of your other jobs, if these 2 fascinated me. Director of promotions at Sony Music and Universal Music.
Yes.
Alright, tell me a little bit about those jobs and kinda what you got to do with that.
So at one point, I wanted to get into show business, and my dad forbade it. I auditioned for the High School of Performing Arts, kind of behind his back. And he was like, no, over my dead body. And he's been in the industry for his whole life. So he was just like, this is not something that I want a, a kid of mine to do. Um, but I why am I losing my train of thought? I'm sorry.
The promotions jobs at the music groups.
Yes,
You were saying that
yes.
you wanted to get into
Right, right. I'm
yeah,
sorry. So
that's okay.
so when I went to school and had I had vacations and things like that, I'd sign up for a temp agency and to work during the times when I was off. And it was one assignment. It was supposed to be a week long assignment, and they sent me to Columbia Records, and I never left. Like so I it was okay with my dad because I was in the industry, but on the other side. So, in his eyes, the people on the other side are the ones that, make the money and have the power. The artists usually
Yep,
don't. So yeah, so he was cool with that. But I went up through the ranks from assistant, coffee getter, just doing whatever is needed. And back then in the music industry, you just like you really earned your stripes. And went up to executive level and actually also met my husband there.
very nice. So who are some of the people you got to work with?
I'm so lucky. Harry Connick Jr. is one of the people that I got to work with. Mariah Carey, um, gosh, Patti LaBelle.
Ooh,
Yeah, yeah. She called me on my office phone because I had helped another group, New Edition, um,
wow.
do a song in Spanish. And she heard about it and she called me and she said, hey, baby, I want to do a song in Spanish. And I was like, I was trying to be,
Yeah,
calm,
yeah.
but you can't. It's Patti LaBelle.
Oh, no kidding, yeah. So what as director of promotions, what was your role there?
I work with radio stations around the country. We had a promotion staff that went out and promoted the records that were released as singles. So they went out, they did that, and then they would create promotions. So back in the day, but you still hear it a little bit now, but not as cool. Be the fifth caller and
Yeah.
win tickets to see New Edition or um, so I created those contests and would execute them. So a lot of times I would get to go to really cool places. Like I went to Japan with Mariah Carey
Wow.
because we did a nationwide contest, and we took contest winners to go see Mariah in concert, um, and in Japan. And so because it was my promotion, I had to go with them.
I like that you had to go. That worked out well,
I
didn't
had
it?
to. Yeah, tough job.
So who did you work with before they were somebody? Any names? 'Cause you
Oh,
can
Mariah Carey?
okay. This was before
Yeah,
and, talk about voices. I mean,
right,
that's up there. But so this was
right.
before she really hit it big.
Oh, yeah, it was the album was not released yet, and we were trying to get her, um, out and about to radio stations so they could meet her. And she, nobody knew who she was, nobody was really interested. Her look didn't match what I worked with urban radio,
Mhm.
so her look didn't match what they thought an artist on urban radio should be.
Interesting.
So we had to push pretty hard, and then she became Mariah Carey, and it
And
you don't have to push.
you wanted to call those stations back and say, "I told you so."
Right.
Now, the first time you heard her, you're thinking like, "Okay, she's pretty good."
Oh my gosh. It was one of those things that you hear somebody, you're like, this is it.
Mhm.
This is a great singer. And then when you saw her perform, um, she sang from like her tippy toes all the
Mhm.
way on up. Um, and people would be concerned that she would ruin her voice because she sang that hard. But it made her who she is, and her voice has been affected a little bit by it, but she's still like no one can touch her. She's incredible.
Now, did you have the album collection that all your friends were jealous of because you were who you were?
Yeah, we had a big like chest. It was giant, filled with CDs back when CDs were a thing. Um, and I had a suitcase filled with cassettes. Remember those?
I do. I
So
don't know
people
if
would
the
come
Yep,
over.
I don't know if the
I'm s-
young kids today know what cassettes are, but if they really wanna know how difficult it was, you would put the eraser from your pencil in there and rewind it
Right.
to get back to the song you wanted to hear again. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
And I was one of the people that said I wouldn't switch to CDs because I had such a big cassette
mhm.
collection. And I said, I'm not, CDs are not going to be here to stay. I'm not switching. I'll stay with cassettes.
And then they quit making cassette players, you didn't have anything to play.
Right.
So, was your dad pleased with that move into the music world on the business side of it?
He was very proud. And, because like I said, I was on the side of the people that made decisions and where the money went. The reality of the record industry or the entertainment history as a whole is the talent usually does not
Yeah.
get a good deal. Everybody else makes all the money off of them.
Yeah, I think artists are starting that's changing now 'cause, well, with all these social media platforms, you can put your own song out there, and you hear stories all the time that record labels found somebody based on the tape, their video that they put on TikTok or Instagram or wherever.
Yes,
So I'm glad that the folks are actually doing the work to help
right.
feed other people who are getting paid for that, so
Yeah.
so you talked about your husband, James, one of the, I always like to ask 2 questions for married couples on the show, is how did you and James meet literally, and do you both tell the story the same way?
So we met. He said we met before I remember meeting him. But I was best friends with his sister. We both worked at the same label, and he said we met at her office one time. I have no recollection of that, but how we did meet was when I went to Universal to work. The first day, he saw me and told his friend, "I'm going to marry that girl." And
Nice.
I ignored him for a while until I gave him my number
And,
because he was cute.
what made you finally give him your number?
Um, he was funny. Like, I mean, he still is, but
Yes.
he was a funny guy. He made me laugh. And that was, I guess funny guys are
Yep.
extra attractive. So the fact that he was cute as well,
That didn't hurt,
didn't
yeah.
help. But
Now,
yeah.
I tend to side with James, remembering that you 2 met, because sometimes when a guy sees a girl that catches his eye, he remembers. Yeah, because 'cause you're yeah. So, I think we look different, in a room. I think sometimes guys look different than girls do, but so I'm not surprised that he would say that you guys met before. So where was the official first date?
We went to Universal City Walk. There's a place called
Mhm.
City Walk in Universal Studios that you can go and walk around, see things. It's right in Universal. So our office was in Universal, so you could just you could take a little ferry thing up there. But we went there and ate, and then we never were apart after that.
Did you know pretty quick that this might be something?
I did. I did. I did. I knew that at least we'd be really good friends because we both acknowledged that we were
Yep.
different type of people. Like we weren't your normal, whatever. I wasn't a normal girl. He wasn't a normal guy. Um so yeah, so I think our first conversation was how we're both jerks.
Alright, how does that come up at lunch or dinner?
We were out in the courtyard and he said, a lot of people think I'm a jerk. He didn't use the word jerk, but I don't want to use the word
Yeah.
that he used. Um, and and I said, you know what? Same here. I think people just don't like to hear the truth. And
I believe that.
and so I think we bonded over both being jerks. I don't think we're jerks anymore.
No, I don't think you are either. So wait, Universal, was this in Florida?
No, California.
Oh, so when did you move to California?
When I got a job offer, so I was at Columbia Records, and in I want to say 95, Universal offered me a position over there to head up the promotions. I
Mhm.
used to head up the promotional tours. So back in the day, artists would go to the radio stations and do little shows and
Yep.
stuff like that. Um, and so I did that as well. So
And he
it
was already there.
yes.
Okay. So here are these moments in time stories I love. Was there any doubt you were going to take that Universal job?
So in the beginning, I was really scared because I had never been out of New York as far as living, and I didn't have a desire to live anywhere but in New York. So it was like, do I want to move to California? This is scary. I'll be there by myself. My parents were not happy. So, but I did it because I didn't want to have any regrets. And I'm grateful that I did.
Exactly. And that's why I like looking back on this, because if you don't take that job, where are you today and where's James today?
Right.
So, yeah, I love those,
Right.
again, those moments in time where we make a decision to do or not do something that leads
Hmm.
to the job of our dreams or the person we end up spending the rest of our life with. So I love those stories.
Yeah,
S
absolutely.
All right, so you have 2 daughters and a son. I have 2 sons. I'm sure we're both very proud and happy of them, right? Let's talk about the
Yes.
grandkids. Yeah, let's get to the stuff that really matters. So you have a grandson. How old is he?
He is 9 years old
And where does he live?
and he lives in Clayton. So not far from me, maybe 20 minutes from me.
All right.
Um, and he is super special. He has Down syndrome and he is nonverbal and he has the best sense of humor. So even though he doesn't talk, Um, him and my husband love making fun of me. They so they do pranks on me, and it's really fun. But it teaches us how somebody doesn't have to be able to talk to communicate, and if you pay attention, people will tell you exactly what they need you to know.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. Can I assume he's a little bit spoiled from you too? Yeah.
A lot spoiled.
How often do you get to call to babysit?
Um, about every other weekend,
Okay.
roughly.
Alright.
And then sometimes, like during spring break or whatever, he'll come and hang out with us. But it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. It's exhausting.
Yep.
The last time we had him for about a week and a half.
Oh, boy.
And because parents were the parents, right? Like, um, were traveling, and when he left, my husband and I sat there and we were like, "We're too old for this."
Mhm. Yeah. That's why parents should be younger. That's why it's a good thing we're
Right,
25 and we don't know any better, we have a lot more energy.
exactly.
Alright, so your 2 daughters and your son, they're more like mom or dad?
Huh, that's funny. So my youngest and my oldest are the two girls, and they are the same person, literally. Like, they are just it's incredible, but they're full of drama. So according to my husband, they're like me. I don't know if I agree with that, but my son is he's like a stable guy. So he is more like James, because I always tell him, like, thank you for being normal, because he's like, the voice of reason, and he's a stockbroker, and so he does all these things that are, good and and steady. So,
Now
and then I get the drama on each
yeah.
end.
Do his sisters still wear him out with all the drama they bring?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They try their best to rope him in.
Is he married?
Nope.
Alright.
Nope. He is
I would have
concentrating
yep,
on
good.
his career, and he is engaged, but we it's a long-term engagement.
Okay, that's fine, but I bet one of the first things he told them was, "No drama. There will be no
Yeah,
drama in my life or my house. I have enough. You can't bring any."
right.
So we're talking we got a call from Oliver's our oldest, he's our only grandson, oldest of 3. So we're talking to him last night about I think it was about 7 o'clock. We got a video call from our son, and Oliver was talking very animated, catching up on everything, and he said he was, I said something, he goes, "Pop, I can't hear you real well because it's nighttime and my ears are getting tired." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm dying to see where this goes," right? So we talked for another minute, and I said, "Oliver, I I get that your ears may be getting tired, but I don't think your mouth is getting tired." He goes, "Oh, no, my mouth works all the time." It's like, he's mine. He's mine. But I love the way they
Awesome.
see things and express their life and everything, so that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What was the best thing about going to is it St. Nicholas of is it Tollentine? Tollentine?
Valentine.
Right. What was the best thing about
Yeah.
going to high school there?
Wow. You really did research.
This is what intrigues me, Irene. This is what I wanna know, it truly is.
So that was a great opportunity to be around so many different people in one place. Like, it was it was the high school was a basketball high school, so it was well known as far as us being city state champions and all of this. So a lot of people saw it as a athletic school, but the reality was is that it was an incredible college prep
Mm,
school. but it also had, I had the theater and I had the chorus and I had all the all the activities, but they were very um, strict about us doing our college prep. It was all about college prep. So it was great. And also getting to ride the subway to school every day was
There we
quite an
go.
adventure.
Yeah. That's one of those things that we have no concept of, Irene. We get school buses, but to think that high school kids have to take the subway to school just blows my mind. But there was no other way, right?
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah. I never really saw school buses until I moved out of New York. I mean, they have them, but I don't know who rides them because
Yep.
I never got to ride them.
So now we hear about these Catholic schools that the nuns walk around with those rulers and just smack you on the knuckles, right?
Right. Yeah, no. Well, I'll take it back. When I was in kindergarten, first, second grade, it was allowed. As I went up, then things started changing and it wasn't allowed. But no, we had one teacher who shall remain nameless because I'm sure she's, in heaven somewhere, um, who used to like go at it. She it was almost like she's like, I'm gonna knock you out. But 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 for the most part, I think we had really good, dedicated teachers.
Now, where you grew up is kinda like I think it equates to a small town mentality of everybody knows each other,
Mhm.
okay? So, when you were out and you did something you probably shouldn't have been doing or somewhere you weren't supposed to be, how long did it take how long did it take for that information to get back to your parents before you got home?
Before the elevator could get me to the 16th floor, it was incredible. There were no cell phones, there was none of this quick things, but never underestimate the power of a person tattling on someone.
And some of those times you knew you were gonna get questioned, but it was the times where you didn't know it, so you didn't have your story ready, did you?
That's exactly right. I'd walk in and have, my big smile on, and I could tell as soon as I walked in that something wasn't right, but I wasn't going to confess. I was going to wait till I knew what they knew.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now the 16th floor, how many floors were in the building?
16.
Alright.
So we were on the last floor
How often did the elevator break down?
a lot, a lot. And it was always in the middle of 100-degree weather
Yep.
in the summer.
And so you had to take the stairs many times, didn't you?
Yes, yes, absolutely. It
Yep.
was not fun.
No, but that was your cardio for the day, huh?
The month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so Irene, this has been a blast having you on. I wanna get one more thought to leave with folks. So if they have aging parents that are starting to struggle, they probably maybe they live on their own still, what are a couple things they should be thinking about? Maybe if they call you, what kind of things do they need to know before maybe one of their parents moves back with them?
One of the things that I would suggest is trying to see if you can find out your parents' kind of financial situation. A lot of times people will call me and I'll say, does the person have long-term care insurance, or was he a veteran, so he may be eligible for some kind of benefit? Like find out those things. Other than that, they really don't have to know anything other than that they need help, because if they don't know that information, I'll help them find out. But it's helpful to know what way to take the conversation or what resources to offer if they do know um, kind of what their parents' situation is. So have those conversations early and often, because the other side of that coin that I see, Mike, is when people aren't expecting that, parents are healthy and independent, but then one thing happens,
Mhm.
one fall, one stroke, and they can't get that, you have an emergency. So, you may not be able to get that information, or, um, it's just so many things that can happen. So have that conversation and just know what the passwords are,
Yep.
where the key to the safe is, things like that.
I would imagine you've been in the middle of a couple of, fights with the parents are like, "No, no, I'm still good to live on my own. I'm not moving in with anybody yet."
Absolutely. That is a huge thing. Family dynamics is
Mhm,
probably 80% of what I deal with, because you have um, different personalities and different generations, and everybody wants their own thing. And at the at the end of the day, you have to do what's right by the client
mm.
and try to work something out that is going to be good for everyone, but above all, the client.
I remember once, my mom got into her 60s, she would tell my brother and my sister and myself that, "One day, I know you're gonna have to take the car keys from me, but expect a big fight." So, I always remember her saying that, and it never got to that point, but I would have bet that I bet you meet some parents that are like, I don't think I need this yet," but in reality, they
Right.
do. But so, folks,
Yeah.
we put, Irene's phone number on, the screen during the show. If you have any questions, if you're in that stage of your life where your parents are getting older and they need some help, please give her a call. If for anything, just for informational purposes, she'll send you in the right direction. Irene, this has been a blast. Um, love the growing up in the project stories. I could hear more and more of that. So I think one day you and I are going to go grab a lunch, and I think I'm gonna have to
You
drag
too.
James along because I want to hear about that first meeting you don't remember.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yep. So, anyways, we've enjoyed it. Irene, thanks for being on the show, and we will see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.